Well guys, welcome back. So I think that the scene right here is about where we left off on the last video about this big red oak tree here. If you remember, about 2 videos ago, we came out here in the woods and we dealt with this red oak tree that was basically a windfall. This is a tree that I had been watching for a very long time, and it basically began to lean uphill, and it took it a few years to finally get to a point where it just fell over. It took some saturated soil, and it probably took some wind as well, but whatever it took, it finally came down. And on the last video about this tree, we got some firewood out of it, and we cut up just a couple of logs out of the trunk of the tree to put on the sawmill. There's at least 4 logs from this trunk that we should be able to get onto the mill, but it's going to be a challenge. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit dirty. It's later in the day, and I've been doing a lot of stuff today, both because the things needed to be done, and also I think I'm putting this off because this is going to be a chore, I'm afraid. But I do think we're going to get some phenomenal lumber out of this log. So this log right here, again, it's a red oak. We measured it at about 105 years old on that last video, and right here we're looking at, if I can get my tape measure to go, well, goodness, there we go. We're looking at 30 inches. From here to here is 30 inches. Here to here, yeah, we're looking at 30 inches any way you look at it. On the other end, I measured it. The small end is 25 inches. This is well beyond what my sawmill can handle, and it's a manual sawmill on top of that. This log is 8 feet 5 inches long, and I got online and found a calculator. Over 1 ton. It measures about 2,150 pounds. Which is insane. That's well beyond what my tractor loader can handle. We're gonna have to go with the old school ramps and winch for the sawmill. Yeah, this is gonna be something else. So I'm not really sure what else to do, but just hush and drag it out of the woods and put it on the mill. So let's get started. Well, that was really unstable, and I don't know if you saw one of my back tires come off the ground, but that would have flipped the tractor eventually, so we got to do something different. Well, as you can see, it did drag it, but it wasn't great. A box blade is 100% the wrong tool for this job. So let's swap tools. That stuck. So I don't want to use the grapple. I don't believe this is large enough to fit around that log. I mean, I suppose it could be, but I want to try to get the chain farther up on this thing, which means I'm probably going to put it right up here somewhere. So I'm going to take this off, and I didn't even know this grapple was on this as it was sitting in the woods over here. This has been here for about 5 years. This is what I used to use on the old Ford 3000 when I would skid logs with it, and none of this wasn't seized up, and it's been up under pine straw for years. That's incredible. I'm going to put this somewhere a little bit safer. Well, I can't say if it's going to work or not, but I at least feel a lot better about this whole setup. Let's see. By the way, I can never remember if I get more lift capacity if I do the chain midway on that boom or if I do it all the way out to the end. It seems like the physics is backwards there. I have no idea. Let's see. It actually lifted that pretty easily. I don't need it very high off the ground. I really just need it high enough to prevent this right here, and just to get some of it off the ground so that I'm not having to drag the whole weight of the log against the ground. So this might do it. It is raining. Well, that worked a whole lot better than I thought it would work, and we got that log up here fairly safely, I would say. So I'm out of time for the day. We'll get this up on the mill tomorrow and try to figure out how to saw it. So I really would like to quarter saw at least some of these logs, because I know there's some phenomenal quarter sawing boards hiding in these logs. I just don't know how to do it with a small sawmill like this. Let me think about it overnight, and we'll try tomorrow. So for years, this thing has been stored right where you just saw it, and during that time, something has built a nest in this gearbox right here, and by nest I mean it's full of sand, so maybe ants at some point had a nest right there. Ooh, good grief. So as you can imagine, it's not turning so good. Oh wow. Ugh. I think y'all can see this okay, but if you notice, the end of the log on that side of the mill, or the foot of the mill, is up higher than this side. That's the large end, and it kind of comes out like a bell. So naturally that end is covering more ground than this end, because this end is smaller, and it's causing it not to be parallel to the mill. And in my experience, if it gets bad enough, it's going to get to a point where the center of the log is going to balance on one of these bunks just right, and the whole log, once it gets to a certain point, is going to like cant out just like this, and it's going to be a big mess. It won't necessarily be dangerous, it won't be fast, but it'll be a huge mess to have to fix. So it's going to be easier to clean this up now. So let's see if we can get the grapple right over here and kind of scoot this end up just a little bit and get it straight again. Well guys, I've had a change of plan on this whole sawmilling operation today, and I'll let you know about that in just a second. However, I do want to let you know what my plan is with this log. So what I want to do with this log, I want to quarter saw it, and quarter sawing is basically just a method of sawing lumber. And the goal for quarter sawing lumber, and I'm not so sure that you can see the growth rings very well here through the camera, but I'm hoping maybe you can see it on this piece. Just pretend this is a board right here for just a second. So with quarter sawn lumber, the goal is to get these growth rings 90 degrees or perpendicular to the face of the board, and that does a couple of things. It makes the lumber more stable, but it also gives you, especially in red oak, it gives you some pretty impressive ray fleck, and basically that's just tiger stripe looking markings on the face of the board, and it's very, very pretty stuff. And especially in red oak tends to have some very prominent ray fleck if you can get that 90 degree angle of those growth rings to the face of the board. So that's what I want to try to do with this. It's a bit more wasteful to do it that way instead of just flat sawing the log, but the payoff is pretty good because you get stable lumber, but it's the looks of it, it's beyond anything. Flat sawn lumber doesn't even come close. The boards will be narrower, be a little more waste, but man, it'll look phenomenal. Great for floorboards and stuff like that. So what I'll have to do, I've mentioned before, this is kind of a bell-shaped log. This end is 30 inches, the other end is 25. So what I'll have to do is just kind of trim as much as I can off this bottom half of the log right here to get it to where I can cut it and get those quarters out of it so we can start getting that quarter sawn lumber. But anyhow, but that's going to do it for the mill today, and let me show you why. So I've had a visitor move into my sawmill head here. Right over here in this half of the saw head, a bird has made her a nest, and she's got about 4 little baby birds in there. We're going to postpone this project. They've got little teeny tiny feathers on them, so I don't think it's going to be too terribly long before they are able to fly, and I'll have my sawmill back. But for now, we're going to postpone this quarter sawing project on this giant oak log, and let's do some gardening or something to finish out this video. So this is our second planting of corn for the year, and it is just about knee high or so. So we're going to get the weeds out of this, then we're going to put some blood meal on it. I had very, very good success with blood meal on the first planting of corn, and yeah, let's see if we can do that. We had a windstorm a couple of days ago, and some of these got pushed over. So now that we've knocked back the weeds, we're going to put on blood meal, and blood meal is just a nitrogen supplement basically. Corn needs lots and lots of nitrogen for the leaves, of course, but also for cob growth and kernel growth. Super important for sweet corn. So we're going to put this on at the rate of about a ½ tablespoon per plant, but I'm just eyeballing it, so let's see what we can do. And now I'm just going to kind of disrupt the top of the dirt just a little bit to get that blood meal covered up. And it might rain today. It's been raining a lot lately, so I'm not going to water this in, but under normal circumstances you would want to water this in some. I want to put some sunflowers in this box. This will actually be the third attempt to grow sunflowers in this box. The first package, the first two attempts were from that same package, so I think it's pretty obvious that we had a bad batch of seeds there. But I'm going to plant a mix in this one. These are new seeds. I'm going to plant a mix. This is a mammoth Russian sunflower. Looks like it has a very large brown center and shorter petals. And this one, it's just a bunch of mixed color sunflowers. My wife loves sunflowers, so I like to try to plant some for her. So let's get this box planted. I think I'm going to put the mixed color ones around the edge of this box, and then I'm going to put the big ones in the middle. These mixed color ones are much smaller, and they get like 4.5 feet tall or something like that. And the mammoth ones get, I think it said 7.5 feet tall or something like that. So I'm going to keep these on the outside edge and put the big ones in the middle, and I think that'll help out with light absorption too. I'm afraid if I mix them up too much that the mammoth sunflowers are going to block a lot of the light for the shorter ones. So yeah, that's my thought at least. Let's see how it works. What's up, man?
Hey, what's that stinky smell?
That's the blood meal, the fertilizer that I just put on the corn.
Oh, doesn't smell good.
So put one right here. You want me to poke the holes?
Sure. After this, can you come around covering up the holes? Can you?
Mm-hmm.
Ow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So our garden this year has probably been the best garden that we have ever had, and we have not been here a lot over the last year and a half. I mentioned on the channel before that we were living in New Orleans for almost a year and a half or so while I finished up a seminary degree, but we went back and forth a lot, and during one of those trips back I was able to plant the garden and just kind of leave it and let it grow with us not here. My uncle, who lives next door, was kind enough to come water it on a fairly regular basis for us, so that was critical in its survival. When I would come back, I would weed it, and yeah, we weren't here a lot, but we were able to grow a garden, and it's been the best one yet. Let's check it out. We've got 3 husky cherry red tomato plants, and these are producing like nobody's business. Not a ton of red ones, but they're coming along. You can see a lot of them are starting to turn red, and my son comes out. I do too, but my son comes out pretty frequently and gets himself a little snack out of this garden. Yeah, but these are great. We also have some better boys. I actually had BLTs for lunch today, which was fantastic. 3 better boys here, 1 better boy over here, and 2 zucchini plants. A Roma tomato plant, which has been extremely productive so far. Here's our pepper box right here. We've got 6 jalapeno plants and 1 sweet pepper. It's like a lunchbox orange. But these jalapenos have been very, very productive. This was our first batch of corn right here, Silver Queen, and I have some ears on here that are ready to come off, but we have been eating corn out of this box right here for a few meals, and oh my goodness, this is some of the best corn right here. There's nothing more satisfying than being able to grab a few ears of corn right out of the yard and throw them in the oven or on the grill or however you want to do them. This is the next age of corn that we just fertilized right here. It's looking very nice, and this is the third and final planting of corn right here. You see it's a little bit smaller, but it's coming along very nicely. Nothing in this box right here, and we just put the sunflowers over here in this box. And over here is my Venus flytrap that I have somehow managed to keep alive for, I believe it's 5 years old. That's been a fun project. But this year we haven't had to water much at all because it has rained so much. This is one of the wettest years that I can remember, and it's actually sprinkling just a little bit right now off and on. So anyhow, I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. Sorry we couldn't get to that log. Once she moves out of there and those babies fly out of there, we'll see if we can quarter up that log and get some nice looking lumber out of it. But until then, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.